Hi and welcome to this Tara Sharma Show Baby Dove special episode. We're here for the launch of Baby Dove in India. And we're going to have a really interesting panel discussion with some wonderful guests. We've got gorgeous actress, wonderful mom, Genelia Deshmukh, clinical psychologist Varkha Chulani, and renowned pediatrician Dr Pai. We're going to talk to them about various things relating to new mums, including the findings of the Baby Dove Global Survey. Lots of facts that I've been hearing for a long time from real mums on our show. Also some new information that I didn't know. So there's clearly a lot of interesting stuff to discuss. So we hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, do keep interacting with us, and see you then. Welcome to this very, very exciting afternoon. I think everyone here knows that Dove is iconic. It's got 60 years of heritage. It's a brand that's all about real women, real beauty. And what's really exciting is that Baby Dove is going to be talking about new things for new mothers, and it also has a very strong emphasis on being real. And I'm so excited that Baby Dove, when they approached me to be part of this event, I felt that they were saying exactly what I've been saying for 7 years, you know. They were talking about the fact that we as parents, as moms and dads, should trust ourselves more. We should throw away all this anxiety that people create around parenthood, and we should stop aspiring to be a perfect mom, because at the end of the day, in many ways, there is no such thing as perfect. We're all real moms. And I'd like to go a step further and say every real mom is a perfect mom to their own child. So we'd like to now invite the Vice President of Skincare, Hindustan Unilever, Prabha Narasimhan, to tell us a little bit more about Baby Dove.
Thank you, Tara. What a lovely introduction, and I couldn't have put it better myself, and maybe I should just get off the stage immediately. This is a really big moment for us at Hindustan Lever. This is our first foray into the baby care category, and we enter with a brand that obviously means a lot to us and a lot to consumers. Dove, like Tara has said, is an iconic brand, and to come in with Baby Dove as an introduction, this is the first market that we're going to bring in Baby Dove after our launch in Brazil, which was last year. The Baby Dove range of products are quite special because they have been formulated specially for the 0 to 2-year-old children. They are tested and clinically proven. But more important than the products is that they actually come with a very definitive point of view. As we've already discussed, having a baby is a really joyous moment, and I'm sure to all the mums and dads in the room, it would have been a real life-changing moment for each of you. But along with that life-changing moment, of course, comes the pressure of, am I doing it right? Am I treating my baby the best way possible? Am I giving the best care possible? And it does come with the pressure. And what Baby Dove would really, really like to do is to be the voice of encouragement, to tell mums that whichever way you choose to do it, your way is the right way. There isn't any such thing called a perfect mum. There isn't any such thing called the absolute right way to do it, because if there was, somebody would have discovered it and shared it by now, but there isn't. And whichever way you do it is the right way to do it. Let's hear a little bit from real mothers on their point of view.
Thank you so much, Prabha. That was really interesting. Now we'd like to invite a very special guest who's a wonderful actress, a fabulous wife, a fantastic mom to her 2 gorgeous little boys, a dear friend. We've acted together a long time ago, way before we were married or had kids. So it's really a pleasure to have with us Genelia Deshmukh. Please come, Jeans as I call her.
Like Tara said, we are mums today, but we've gone through the entire circle till now, I think, in our initial days. And firstly, I would like to congratulate Baby Dove for having this wonderful line that they are launching today. And I'm glad that they saw me as a mum to come here and be part of their event. Because yes, there is loads of anxieties, and all of us at some point in time get into this whole circle of, you know, being extremely anxious and getting into zones of, am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? And you need people who come out there and say that, no, we're with you, we hear you, we understand you, and we will do our best to make this ride much easier thank you, Baby Dove, for coming out with a new line of products that you can trust. So, lots of moms are going to have this assurance that this is going to be a good brand, and this is the brand that could probably be the future. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Jeans. And now, without much ado, we're going to unveil the products. So Baby Dove is going to take big steps into India through this wonderful window. Having done my show for 6 years, I have a lot of parents who come on the show. In fact, some of them are sitting here. One of the startling things, which I think is a global phenomena, is 9 out of 10 mothers are actually extremely stressed to become a perfect mom. Now, the whole fact that perfect itself is a subjective word, and what is perfect, the fact that this is something that causes so much anxiety is really startling. A few really strange or interesting statistics that came out of this was that India actually has the highest number of women, 54% of women who actually want to go back to work, which I thought was really interesting. But India also has the highest number of women, 67% of women who go back to work and feel guilty about it. So all these things I thought were really interesting, and again, because I do this on the show all the time, it was really nice to see numbers that validate so much of what we actually hear in real life. So to talk more about this, we'd like to invite renowned and wonderful clinical psychologist Varkha Chulani.
I've been associated with Dove for the Choose Beautiful campaign and also a Real Beauty campaign. What resonated with me when I was looking through the Real Mums Heard campaign, or rather study that they did across 6 countries, was something quite actually upsetting. Upsetting because as a professional therapist, I expect motherhood to be joyous, to be something which someone would celebrate. But instead, the statistics threw up tension, anxiety, mistrust, self-doubt, and instead of enjoying motherhood, I feel a lot of Indian mums particularly, in fact, as Tara said, 9 out of 10 are struggling to be perfect mums. Parenting is something to be enjoyed rather than constantly be worried about whether you're doing the right thing. I think I resonate with Dove and its point of view that let's all try and be real, relaxed mums rather than perfect, fraught with tension mums. So I look forward to being a part with Baby Dove. Thank you again, Hindustan Lever. And thank you, Tara, for the wonderful introduction.
Thank you, Varkha. And now we'd like to invite a renowned pediatrician who's the former president of the Indian Pediatrics Association of Mumbai. We'd love to have Dr. Uday Pai.
I've been a pediatrician for 28 years, and it probably makes me feel old because children who are born and who grew up with me are now come back as moms. So it becomes, I'm saying the second generation of them. And I'm also seeing with this second generation, I'm also seeing the changing way that the mom has been what they were 28 years back and what they are today. We as pediatricians are always at a disadvantage. What the disadvantage is, one, the child never complains. So we always have 2 sets of grandparents, maternal and the paternal, and the mother, and there are a lot of other people who keep complaining. So it becomes very tough. So we realize that the anxiety is not single. There are multiple issues to that anxiety. And it's not easy because, when we met at Dove, the first thing which came to mind is, Dove is in cosmetology. What are they doing in baby products? So like Genelia said, the first question and the first meeting I had with Hindustan Lever was with their research team. And when I spoke to the research team, I probably asked them, tell me each and every constituent of the product. I think they've taken extreme care to see that this product is absolutely for the baby and is going to be a good advantage because there is a 60-year-old heritage which is coming to all of us. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Hindustan.
Thank you, thank you. So now we're going to do what I like doing best, which is moderating a little discussion like we have on the show. And this is also going to feature as a Tara Sharma Show Baby Rap special. I think everyone here has said...
feature on your show, finally.
See? And guess who my last guest was? Her husband. So we've heard his point of view. So now I'm going to see if what he says matches what you said. But he was very complimentary of you. So you have to return that. But basically, I think everyone's thrown up some really interesting points. The global survey has statistics that are really interesting, and we're going to discuss that a bit more. We're also going to then open it up to all of you. So if you have any burning questions, as I said, some people here have been on the show. I can see one right there, Ruchi, of First Moms Club. So we've got lots of, I know, mommy communities and people who are experts in the field. Another thing I always say when I host my show is, I'm no expert. I'm a regular mom. I'm learning all the time. I make millions of mistakes. I question myself all the time. My kids are now 5 and 7. Just last night I was almost in tears because I did something that I think was wrong. And my husband had to say, relax. And now that my kids are older, they say, Mama, chill. So I think, you know, this anxiety kind of does go with you. So I think we'll start with this anxiety question. So Jean, starting with you, when you were pregnant and perhaps soon after you had your first son, did you have anxiety? Did you feel people would stress you? Sometimes almost intentionally, you know, people coming to say, are you ready? Are you prepared?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
You know, Tara, even if they didn't do it intentionally, by a certain conversation in the room, when everyone's discussing about certain things, you're like, am I doing the right thing? Because maybe I'm not doing what that mom is doing. I think it's nice to question yourself once in a while. I just think it's not nice to lose confidence in yourself. And I think the first 2 months go in with a lot of things. I mean, be it breastfeeding or be it, you know, choosing the right kind of products. Everything makes a difference to a new mom. And also the fact that she's gone through so much and, you know. But I think after that, what I realized is, my child can only be happy if I'm a happy mom.
Absolutely. I think
so, so that's one of the things where I decided that, everyone's trying to help out and no one means bad, but I need to filter just like I would do in life.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, you get a zillion opinions even when you're an actor or even when you're not.
Yeah.
But eventually you have to do what works for you and you will go wrong. It's not like you, but you'll correct yourself and so what? That's what happens with being a mom as well.
So, coming to you, doctor, do you find that we're actually in a generation of more anxious parents? And what's your take on this whole anxiety?
See, it's very interesting. Both of you are mom twice, okay? And the anxiety level with the first child, maybe 100%, you know, but then I always tell parents, wait for your second child. Say, oh, I don't want to go in for that. And suddenly after 2 or 3 years, we'll say, oh, I'm second one. And that's what I'm at them. Now you're 50% pediatrician because you've gone through one. So in the second, you know what you're going to get into. And we always believe that all mothers have instincts, definite instincts. And those instincts are what we tell them, believe them. So it's basically the child's way and the mother's way of nurturing the child, which ultimately matters.
At the risk of being a little controversial, considering I have a show in the parenting space, do you feel that there's a bit of an information overload when it comes to communities, blogs, shows, research, Google? Do you think as a new mom, like, do you actually look at all that, or do you decide that you're only going to listen to your mom and maybe yourself? Or do you have some trusted things that you refer to, like maybe books or...
You know, Tara, I think information is there because there is a certain section that needs it. And I think, why not? I mean, today, I have help. I mean, I have my mom, I have my mother-in-law both there. But there are so many families that just have a mom, dad, and their child. And they do need a little bit of advice here and there. It's how much you filter, how much you don't. And like Dr. Pai said, it's very important to have your own instinct work for you.
Absolutely.
And that can only happen if you're confident and if you're happy.
You made a very valid point about your mom and your mother-in-law both being very close. I know that your home is a little like a nursery school with 6 kids and, you know, 3 sets of families with your mother-in-law, which is great. I know you guys get on very well, and she gives you good advice as well. But coming to one of the statistics from the survey, which said that 66% of real Indian moms said that their mother-in-law and their mother's views are often conflicting. I'd like to come to you as a clinical psychologist. When you have this kind of contradictory advice, apart from confusing people, can it also breed fear? Or how would that work
But what I think the mother at that point, the new mom, has to do is sift the advice and decide that to take some from the mum and apply it where it's relevant to the child, and to take some from the mother-in-law and apply it, because both come from points of view which may be different. And I think the biggest lesson to learn in my parenting was that every child is unique. So I'm a twin, and I realized that my mum used different strategies, if I may use that word, for each of us, even though we were twins. I preferred sleeping longer. My sister was slightly more hyper. So there is no right thing. There is a thing which you have to see fits uniquely to every child that is in front of you.
I think it's important to gather the right kind of information. Like when we're talking about mums and mother-in-laws, honestly, I never had an issue with either my mum or my mother-in-law. I think because they both came from a zone where they understood that you are the mum, we'll do what you tell us to, and my mom and mother-in-law get along much better. So, I didn't have that issue, but yet there were things that I wanted to do my way, and it wasn't like not advised or stopped or restricted. But what I did is I take my mom, I take my mother-in-law where I go. If I need them to hear something from a doctor, like from my pediatrician, I'll take them there. I'll explain to them, I'll talk to them. I think as much as we are evolving as moms, they are evolving as grandmoms. It's their first time too, you know.
No, in an Indian context, we have more, most often there's more family involvement, right? I happen to be half Indian and half English, and I see the difference because my mom is English, and I see that it's a little different. You know, my mom is, although of course she's been here 45 years, so she's quite Indianized, but I see my cousins in the UK, they kind of, it's more nuclear when it comes to the way they bring up. They may not have as much involvement, and again, it's each to their own. You take what you want from either.
I think even the Dove data showed that I think Chinese are the most dependent on family advice, followed by Indians and so on.
Yes, I think this is what's so interesting about that global survey, that you see the differences. Now talking about, as a doctor, the concerns that people come to you with, I'm sure you have the usual, like about breastfeeding, when do you stop, when do you give solids, when do all those things that we've all asked, and I'm embarrassed to admit that I am one of those mothers who's messaged my doctor. Dr. Balsekar has had messages from me saying, do I do this or do I do that? But I think I've also learned to be a little chilled. But what are the main concerns that new mothers come to you with?
There was a time when we used to have two sets of grandparents. Now with nuclear families, we don't see that kind of, both a set of grandparents. And then people change their jobs very often, change scenarios very often. That's another additional thing. Now the other things which are adding is intercaste marriages which are taking place. So there's, a conflict between the two grandmothers. The one would say one and the other would say the other. So with all this, the scenario with taking care of a child is you have to evaluate what the myths are, traditions are, facts are, changing times that take place. And of course, you also have blogs and Google to, confuse you further and add to the complication. But like, what Tara said, you do face, like, you have Dr. Varkha who herself said that she was a little who slept more and the other was hyper. So that's why my child doesn't sleep would be the commonest thing. But it's the way to understand my child doesn't eat is the most commonest thing. And you probably go to a little detail of trying to understand what the child eats. I said, boss, I don't eat that much. It's that kind of a situation. And these are common things which we keep facing. So at the end of the day, I think a little amount of talking to, counseling definitely helps parents. And I think it's basically trying to say, allow the child his space. Like you need your space, the child needs his space.
Do skincare issues come up?
It's unending. The traditional way would say, you apply this oil is good, that oil is good. At the end of the day, from our side, we basically say that oil does nothing. It's your massage, it's the touch. It's the bonding which comes from what you do for the baby. I think that's what makes all the difference. And believe me, I'll probably be happy to share with you now, there are fathers who like to do it more.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I have a lot of parents who now, especially the nuclear family ones, where the grandparents are not there. The mother would do the morning one, and the night massage would be given by the father. And that touch therapy is what is important.
Thank you. That was, interesting to know the kind of concerns that parents have. Now, moving away from the baby, I think, as Ruchi said when we walked in, it's interesting that, the conversation is about the real mums. Now, of course, everyone compliments the baby, but the reality is it's the parents who are, whose life
Once
perhaps
you deliver,
changes.
no one asks you how you're doing also.
What are the kids doing?
What are the kids
How's
doing?
the child? Like, but me, I exist.
So now going back to that you exist, when you starting your next film?
Yes.
Because as I said, the statistic that comes out of the Baby Dove Global Survey actually says that India has the highest percentage, 54% of women who want to go back to work, which I found quite interesting. Because having done this show, as I said, for 4 seasons, we have a lot of working women coming on the show, mothers going back to work, mompreneurs who've started their own enterprises, being a mother and an entrepreneur. So what's your view on going back to work?
I don't think I ever left work, Tara.
Yeah.
This is work at the end of the day. I don't think you don't work, and I think as a mom you do something or the other which is a lot of work. It may not be acting, it may not be, certain things. I have a production house.
Yeah.
I've just produced a song. I've on my way to producing 2 films. You are producing your show, acting in a show. So I think we all work. Maybe the nature is a bit different.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be grateful to do a film today also. And the thing is, it's no more that you can't do it. Like both of us do. We take our children everywhere. Yeah. Like, I was shooting on Sunday. He was there on sets both my children. Yeah. So every time I needed to feed, I would do that. And I think women in general can multitask so well. Absolutely. That you never really, have a problem. And on a day that you need to do a little more work, I'm grateful that my husband understands that it's our child together.
Yes.
And he's there. Like this morning, I had to be at home and I couldn't drop my son to school. He did it. Yeah. He does it every morning. He wakes up early, though he has worked the rest of the day, because he does understand that I wake up in the middle of the night as well. Yeah. And I think once you have that kind of thing going, and you can do anything at any point in time. Yeah, sure, maybe it's a bit restrictive and you can't go out on a Wednesday or a Friday, but so what?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a bad thing.
You stop even wanting to, actually.
Yeah, you stop wanting to. You'll still enjoy a Saturday better. Yeah. You'll enjoy Monday probably better when you go out. Yeah. It's just about being content, I think, at the end of the day. Yeah. So though this entire process looks all complex and crazy, and you can't work and you can't do this and you're doing the wrong thing and it's really simple. It's just up to you to make it that simple.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, that having a positive attitude goes a long way. Like, I am someone who I like to always look at the bright side, and I think that does solve a lot. I definitely think. Having said that, at the risk of being a little controversial, and after all this is a debate, we are also in a position of privilege where we have the opportunity to take our kids on a set, produce our own stuff. Yes. I'm always grateful for advice my father gave me shortly before he passed away. He always said, don't wait for the phone to ring with an offer. If you want to do something that doesn't exist, create it. Yes. And that's when I created my show. And today, I'm grateful to Baby Dove for acknowledging that we as mothers who are working, actually people are also watching that. But there are lots of people who don't have the infrastructure of help. What happens to women who may not have that and who want to go back to work? Right. Perhaps they have to leave the child at a creche, or they have to leave a child somewhere where the global study also reveals that India has the highest percentage of women who feel guilty. 67% of women feel guilty. People like us, fortunately, touch wood, don't.
Perhaps but I feel guilty as well.
You do?
Like right now when I'm here and my child is at home, I feel guilty, but I feel that's an emotion and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
So I guess as a professional therapist, I think mums have to first realize that they are individuals and people first, before they take multiple roles, before they become daughters, sisters, wives, daughter-in-laws and mums. And I think if I underscore that, And I think Dove's point of view is exactly that, that in some of the studies, they found that a lot of mums are feeling extremely guilty about the fact that they are even asking for me time.
Yeah.
But as Genelia somewhere in the past mentioned, that if you're not a happy person, you definitely cannot be a happy mum.
Yeah.
Okay, happy parenting, joyful parenting, confident parenting comes from basically being confident and self-assured and self-trusting of your intrinsic, worth and your intrinsic philosophy of what you want to be as a person.
Yeah.
And I think once that is in place, yes, it's always a tug of war that, what should my priority be at this point? So I would say, as a working mom, my daughter just finished her grade 10 examinations, and I told her, just tell me what is your schedule for your ICSE examinations, because I want to take leave. She looked at me and she said, Mom, what do my studies have to do with your career? Please go, do your work and travel wherever you have to for whatever events or whatever other seminars that you have to attend. Why? Because I think the general trust that, you do your work, I'll do my work, and I think the child needs to recognize the mother as an entity in her own right.
Yes.
I agree with you totally. In fact, I think you've really brought up your daughter well if she gives you that kind of advice, because that's what, like right now, we're bringing up Rian because he's at an age of, evolvement and changing. I realize that it's most important to give him the strength that he's an independent person, more than making him constant. He is dependent upon me by default, but he does things which amazes me and which I feel parenting is a learning process every single day, and it's just the most beautiful thing to learn from your children. Like little things, like when I see him struggling to say a word correctly because he's learning to say, I've forgotten that, I've forgotten all of this. And I think that's what's important. And I let him have his space. Like I don't have too many toys and stuff like that because I don't believe in that kind of childhood. And I like him to run, I like him to play. So I teach him football and stuff like that. But I don't think it's wrong for someone else who believes that they need a lot of toys, because that's probably the way they were brought up, and they're doing fine in life as well.
Yeah.
And so,
I guess that was the maybe Dove message, that there's no right way or wrong way. But just to come back to a question of guilt. So one caveat which I tell all my parents, I said, you know what? We mothers are very grandiose. We think we are totally responsible for our children. We are not. And I think if you can go home with that message today, that we are not totally responsible for our children, all the anxiety will vanish.
Yeah.
I think I've certainly learned a lot, and it reiterates so many of my beliefs. In fact, on my show, I say each to their own all the time. And it's great to find a brand, Baby Dove, that says pretty much the same thing. Thank you so much, Jeans, Varkha, and Dr. Pai for being fabulous guests, and all of you for being a wonderful audience. What's so great about having this show is that it lives on in the digital space and on TV. So all of you out there, do watch, do write into us with any feedback. Please do keep interacting, because it's you guys who are the real mums that Baby Dove is talking to too. Till we meet again, bye-bye.